On a sweltering summer afternoon, the city zoo buzzed with excitement. Children squealed with delight as they peered into the enclosures, while parents chatted animatedly. The sun blazed overhead, casting a warm glow on the vibrant landscape of animals and visitors. Among them was Amara Johnson, a spirited 12-year-old with big dreams and an even bigger heart. Her laughter mingled with the sounds of the zoo, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Amara's parents, Lisa and Marcus, had taken her to the zoo as a celebration for finishing the school year with excellent grades. Little did they know that this joyful outing would soon turn into a nightmare. As they made their way toward the bear exhibit, Amara felt a rush of excitement. Bears were her favorite animals, and she had always dreamed of seeing them up close. However, lurking in the shadows of that vibrant day was Carl, a disgruntled employee who had been wrestling with his own demons. A man burdened by bitterness, Carl held on to a toxic worldview shaped by years of prejudice. His disdain for the visitors, especially those from marginalized communities, had been building over time, fueled by personal struggles and societal biases. As Amara approached the bear enclosure, Carl's simmering anger reached a boiling point. In a shocking moment of unhinged aggression, he seized Amara and threw her into the bear pit. Gasps of disbelief echoed through the crowd, and time seemed to stand still. Amara, in a whirl of confusion and fear, fell hard onto the rocky ground, the shock of the fall fading as the massive bear, drawn by the commotion, lumbered toward her. For a brief moment, everyone watched in horror, paralyzed by fear and disbelief. A handful of bystanders, including a young college student named Jalen, who had been filming the scene, dropped their phones and rushed to help. But many others stood frozen, their inaction steeped in a chilling mix of bias and terror. As the bear approached, Amara's instincts kicked in. She scrambled to her feet, her heart racing, and faced the creature with surprising courage. "Get away from me!" she shouted, her voice trembling but fierce. The bear hesitated, momentarily confused by this tiny human standing her ground. Jalen and a few others began shouting, trying to draw the bear's attention away from Amara. "Hey, over here!" They threw sticks and shouted, creating a cacophony that echoed in the enclosure. In a critical moment, security finally burst onto the scene, but their delay had already intensified the situation. The bear lunged and Amara fell again, the world blurring around her. But just as it seemed all hope was lost, the responders managed to subdue the bear with tranquilizers. As the creature slumped to the ground, Amara lay there, bruised and shaken, but alive. The crowd erupted in a mixture of relief and horror. Once at the hospital, the doctors worked tirelessly to treat her severe injuries. Her parents, frantic and filled with dread, waited anxiously in the sterile, fluorescent-lit room. It was during this time that they learned the full extent of the racial dynamics at play. Many hospital staff had openly discussed the incident, revealing their biases. "Why was she even there alone?" one nurse remarked, raising a question that pierced through the walls of the waiting room like a dagger. The days that followed were a blur of pain, anger, and resilience. Amara's family, driven by the need for justice, began to rally support. They connected with local activists, including Maya, a fierce community leader known for her tireless work against systemic racism. Maya quickly became an integral part of their fight, organizing protests and community meetings to demand accountability from the zoo. Social media exploded with outrage. Hashtags like Number Justice for Amara and Number Zoo Racism began trending as people shared their stories of similar injustices. The incident became a flashpoint, igniting a conversation about race, safety, and the responsibilities of public institutions. But even as public support grew, shadows loomed over Amara's recovery. The emotional scars of that day threatened to consume her. During her recovery, Amara received countless messages of support, but the trauma manifested in ways her family hadn't anticipated. She struggled with nightmares, often waking up, screaming, the bear's growl echoing in her mind. Her parents fought to keep her spirits up, but the weight of her experience felt insurmountable. As the protests continued to grow, so did tensions. Carl was arrested, and the zoo faced increasing scrutiny. Yet, even with the pressure mounting, many in positions of authority attempted to downplay the incident, framing it as a freak accident, rather than a reflection of systemic bias. This only fueled the flames of discontent in the community. Amara's family organized a large protest at the zoo, demanding reforms and a public acknowledgement of the racial dynamics that influenced the incident. On the day of the protest, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Hundreds of supporters, holding signs and chanting, filled the zoo grounds. Sure to like this video, subscribe for more real stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps keep the fight for justice alive. The media covered the event live, amplifying their message to a national audience. Yet, just when it seemed their efforts were making a difference, tragedy struck again. During the protest, a group of counter-protesters, agitated by the growing movement, descended on the scene. Tensions flared, and chaos erupted. In the confusion, Amara, who had been standing with her parents, was separated from them. Panic spread through the crowd as fights broke out. In the ensuing chaos, Amara was knocked down, her fragile frame trampled in the tumult. When her parents finally reached her, it was too late. The paramedics who arrived on the scene could only offer their condolences, as the weight of the situation became crushingly real. Amara, once a symbol of resilience and hope, was gone. The loss reverberated through the community, igniting a firestorm of grief and outrage. In the wake of her tragic death, the movement for justice intensified. Maya and Amara's family channeled their heartbreak into a renewed commitment to fighting against systemic racism and violence. They organized vigils and created a foundation in Amara's name, focused on promoting awareness of racial issues and supporting children who had experienced trauma. The outpouring of love for Amara sparked a movement that was far from over. Her story became a rallying cry, not just for her family, but for countless others who faced injustices every day. As the years passed, the zoo implemented sweeping reforms, pressured by the community that had risen in Amara's honor. Diversity training became mandatory, safety protocols were reinforced, and a memorial for Amara was established within the zoo, serving as a constant reminder of the need for vigilance and compassion. Amara Johnson may have left this world too soon, but her spirit lived on in the hearts of those she inspired. Her story became a powerful testament to the strength of community and the relentless pursuit of justice. Even in tragedy, her life sparked a movement for change, reminding everyone that the roar of courage can echo long after a voice is silenced. The months following Amara's tragic death were marked by a palpable shift in the community. Her story resonated far beyond the city limits, prompting discussions in schools, workplaces, and community centers about racism, safety, and the responsibilities of institutions. Her family, fueled by grief and the desire to honor their daughter, became powerful advocates, using their platform to push for systemic change. Maya, who had grown close to Amara's family during the protests, became a pivotal figure in the movement. She organized community forums to discuss the need for accountability and reform in public spaces. "We must not allow Amara's death to be in vain," she declared at one such meeting. "We need to ensure that every child, regardless of their background, feels safe in their community." The foundation established in Amara's name quickly gained momentum. Wait, if you support racism, comment 55. If you stand against it, comment 77. If you faced racism, let us know and share your story with us at our email in the channel description. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. They created educational programs aimed at teaching children about diversity, empathy, and the importance of standing up against injustice. Schools across the region began incorporating these lessons into their curriculums, ensuring that Amara's story would be told and learned from. Amara's parents, Lisa and Marcus, became tireless advocates as well. They traveled to local and national conferences, sharing their story and pushing for legislative changes that would mandate diversity training and stricter safety protocols in public institutions. Their heartbreak turned into a mission as they worked to transform the pain of loss into a force for good. 1 year after Amara's death, the community gathered for a memorial event at the zoo, now equipped with a dedicated space honoring her legacy. The area was filled with flowers, photographs, and messages of love from those who had been touched by her story. It was a day of remembrance, but also a call to action. During the event, Lisa spoke passionately about her daughter. "Amara was a light in this world. She showed us that courage comes in many forms, she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. Let us honor her by fighting for a future where no child has to experience what she did. In the audience was a local journalist, Ethan, who had covered the protests and Amara's story from the beginning. He approached Lisa after her speech, inspired by her strength. I want to write a book about Amara, about the movement she sparked, he said. It's important that people know her name and what she stood for. Lisa smiled through her tears. That would mean the world to us. She deserves to be remembered, not just as a victim, but as a champion for change. Ethan began documenting the journey of Amara's family and the community, capturing the raw emotions and stories that unfolded in the wake of her death. His book, titled The Roar of Change, highlighted not just Amara's story, but the resilience of a community united against injustice. As the movement gained traction, so did the pushback. Some community members and local businesses felt threatened by the changes being implemented, fearing they might lose their influence or face scrutiny. A backlash began to brew, with some individuals spreading misinformation about the foundation and its goals, painting the movement as radical and divisive. Maya and Amara's family found themselves navigating a treacherous landscape. Threats began to surface, targeting those who spoke out for justice. We're not going to back down, Maya insisted in a community meeting. We have to remain united, even when it's hard. Tensions escalated as public debates arose over the proposed changes. At a city council meeting, voices clashed. Supporters of the reforms demanded justice and transparency, while opponents rallied against perceived political correctness. It became clear that the fight for Amara's legacy was far from over. In the midst of this turmoil, Maya received a message that sent shivers down her spine. It was an anonymous threat, warning her to back off from the movement or face dire consequences. Concerned for her safety, she confided in Lisa and Marcus, who immediately called for increased security at their events. Determined to confront the hate, Maya organized a large rally aimed at promoting peace and solidarity. We will not be silenced, she proclaimed to a crowd that had gathered, holding signs that read, Justice for Amara and Unity in Diversity. As the sun set, the atmosphere crackled with energy, a blend of hope and tension filling the air. However, the rally took a dark turn when a group of counter-protesters showed up, emboldened by the misinformation that had circulated. They clashed with Maya's supporters, shouting slurs and brandishing signs that propagated hate. In the chaos, emotions flared and violence erupted. In the midst of the conflict, Amara's parents were terrified. They watched as the situation spiraled out of control, fearing for their safety and the integrity of the movement. Just as it seemed the chaos would engulf them all, the police arrived, trying to separate the two groups. In the aftermath of the rally, tensions in the community were at an all-time high. But from the ashes of the chaos emerged an unexpected alliance. Recognizing that violence only bred more division, some members of the opposing group reached out to Maya and Amara's family, seeking dialogue. They wanted to understand the pain behind the movement. Maya, cautious but hopeful, agreed to meet with them. We need to bridge this divide, she explained. Only through understanding can we truly heal. These meetings, while tense, began to foster conversations about race, safety, and the importance of community. As Ethan's book neared publication, it captured not just the events leading up to Amara's death, but the resilience of the community in the face of adversity. It detailed the push for reform, the conflicts, and the eventual willingness to engage in difficult conversations. The book became a bestseller, further amplifying Amara's legacy. 2 years after Amara's passing, the zoo transformed into a model of inclusivity and safety. A memorial garden was established in her honor, a tranquil space where families could reflect and connect. The foundation, now flourishing, provided scholarships to young activists and educational programs that taught empathy and social justice. Lisa and Marcus found purpose in their grief, often speaking at schools and events, sharing Amara's story and the importance of standing against injustice. They dedicated their lives to ensuring that Amara's spirit lived on through the work they did in the community. As the anniversary of Amara's death approached, a gathering was planned to celebrate her life and legacy. The community came together, sharing stories of how Amara's courage had inspired them to take action in their own lives. Maya spoke, her voice strong and filled with conviction. Amara may no longer be with us, But her legacy will continue to inspire change, she said. We are stronger together, united in our fight for justice and equality. In that moment, as the sun set and candles flickered in the gathering dusk, the community felt the weight of loss transformed into a powerful force for change. Amara's name became synonymous with resilience, hope, and the unwavering belief that one voice can spark a movement. Years later, Amara's story continued to inspire new generations. Schools across the country included her story in their curricula, teaching children the importance of empathy and standing up for what is right. Her family's foundation thrived, funding initiatives that uplifted marginalized voices and promoted social justice. And in the heart of the zoo, the memorial garden flourished, a testament to a young girl whose life was cut tragically short, but whose spirit lived on in the hearts of many. The garden became a place of healing, where families could come together, reflect, and remember the legacy of a girl who, even in her absence, taught the world about courage, unity, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Amara Johnson may have left this world too soon, but her roar for change echoed through the hearts and minds of everyone she touched, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope can rise like the sun, lighting the way for a better tomorrow. Sure to like this video, subscribe for more real stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps keep the fight for justice alive.